Welcome back to Neurodivergent Relationships with Dr. Kathy Marshak. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and today's podcast is entitled Empathy Dysfunction 0, Empathy Dysfunction 5, and Radiant Empathy, and what the difference is. Today we're going to explore the empathy dysfunction scale, specifically the opposite ends, EMD-0 and EMD-5, and why neither of them on their own represents true radiant empathy. Both have strengths, both have pitfalls, and both can evolve. Radiant empathy requires something more than sensitivity or understanding. It requires courage. That's what I'm going to talk about today. So, part one is empathy dysfunction 0, or the autism end of the spectrum. EMD-0 represents those on the autism spectrum, people who are exquisitely sensitive to sensory cues, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, textures, movements, and so forth. They notice what others miss. But here's the challenge. They don't have an internal system for organizing this sensitivity. Even though they may fancy themselves psychic, they often react without knowing why. They may flinch, cover their ears, or stim to calm themselves. And there's another layer, Alexithymia. Autistic people can't always find the words to describe what they notice or feel. Some ASD adults stop using sensory data altogether, relying solely on cognitive awareness. One man told me he saw people's faces, but gestures never seemed important to him, even though he noticed them. Another said he never even noticed gestures for the longest time until after 50 sessions of TMS treatment. And even then, he had no idea what the gestures meant. He said, "I always thought I was really intuitive. I just don't know what I'm intuiting." But with time, many people on the spectrum can find the words. Andy's a beautiful example. She suffered with autism for over 40 years before diagnosis. Even then, it took years to discover her voice through her music. Today, she performs a one-woman show called Rhythm and Autism. One of her favorite parts is inviting the audience to stim with her. She may stop mid-song and tap her guitar, just because. At one school show, a 13-year-old boy told her, "That was the best assembly I've ever been to at this school, and I've been here a long time." Andy found her voice by bypassing alexithymia and sensory fears with music. For others, words may come after taking a break from an overwhelming conversation, taking a walk, sitting down to write, sleeping on it, then returning to their partner the next day with clarity. Therapy can help with these workarounds. So, if you're with an EMD-0 partner, don't rush in and fill in the words for them. Give them time. Let the words arrive in their own rhythm. Then there's the EMD-5 folks, the highly empathic end of the empathy dysfunction scale. At the other end of the scale are the EMD-5s, people who are highly empathic. They notice gestures, tones, and emotions. They integrate cues seamlessly and use them to connect. This is empathy at its finest. They know what the gestures mean. But EMD-5s have their struggles too. Many avoid situations that feel too stressful. Anger, despair, bloody injuries, horror movies, they protect their sensitivity by retreating. And then there's the trap of codependency. Instead of leaning into another's suffering and standing alongside them, EMD-5s, or these highly empathic people, often slip into fixing or rescuing. One of my clients proudly announced, "I'm a fixer. Everyone has known that for years." But his autistic girlfriend didn't want to be fixed. She wanted to be accepted as she was. He hadn't thought of that. For him, empathy meant solving her problems, but for her, that wasn't love. It was rejection. For empathic neurotypicals, therapy often means conquering your fear. Fear of their loved one's anger, fear of their partner's pain, fear of losing love altogether. But let's be honest, if your empathy pushes the other person away with your codependent fixing, is that really love? So, if you're with an EMD-5 partner, don't clam up or fight back when they bring their sensitivity, their intuitions, and don't confuse empathy with fixing. The task is to stay present, even in the discomfort. So radiant empathy isn't about being the most sensitive or the most empathic. It's about using both sensitivity and empathy with courage. Courage is the middle path. A radiant empathy angel steps toward difficulty, not away. They use their gifts to connect the dots that others miss. They persist even when ridiculed or when it costs something. They don't self-sacrifice blindly, but choose wisely when to go the extra mile. And they feel the fear, assess the risk, and still choose to act. I'll give you a personal example. I often get asked if video therapy is as effective as on-the-couch sessions. My answer, well, they're different, but different doesn't mean less effective. On Zoom, my clients join from wherever they feel safe. Their living room, a beanbag chair, their bed, even the front seat of a parked car. Couples can connect from 2 separate cities. I can share links, sketch on a whiteboard, play a video clip. And one of my favorite techniques is leaning into the camera. Suddenly, my face fills their screen. It surprises them, but it engages them too. It's my way of saying, I'm here with you, fully present. That's radiant empathy. It's not about the tools. It's about the courage to use them to create connection. So here's the growth edge. EMD-0s, or neurodiverse folks, must resist the reflex to shut down and instead stretch toward words in their own time and way. EMD-5s must resist the reflex to fix and instead stretch toward courage to stay present without rescuing. Radiant empathy lives in this middle ground. It's not sensitivity alone. It's not empathy alone. It's the courage to act with compassion and boundaries, even when it's hard. Where do you find yourself? Closer to EMD-0 or EMD-5? And when was the last time you acted with radiant empathy, even in the face of fear? Thank you for listening to Neurodivergent Relationships with Dr. Kathy Marshak. If today's episode sparked something for you, I'd love to hear about it at our podcast after-party discussion. These are live, confidential gatherings where listeners come together to share insights, ask questions, and learn from one another. Check the calendar at drkathylearningcenter.thinkific.com for upcoming after-parties, or you can just Google me and discover the calendar that way as well. If you're already a member of one of my forums or meetup groups, you'll find the events listed there too. Remember, radiant empathy is about courage. And when we come together, share our stories, and lean into the hard truths, we grow stronger, individually and as a community. So, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.